Hello, everyone, and welcome to Millburn High School. I'm Paul Spahala. With me, Jerry Saxel. And Jerry, an interconference matchup today between Millburn and Columbia, but interesting in that we've got the Essex County Tournament coming up this coming weekend, and maybe some of these wrestlers may be seeing each other. So a little bit of a county preview.
You have your seating meeting tomorrow night, Paul, so a lot is going to be determined by how these wrestlers go against one another today. It's not only if they win or lose, but how close some of those scores might be.
And one very interesting weight class that may have a lot to do, certainly will have a lot to do with those seating meetings, is up at 125 pounds, where we're going to see two outstanding wrestlers. Let's first of all talk about Teak Taylor from Columbia High.
He's fun to watch. He never stops moving, very, very aggressive, does some unorthodox moves. They work against an average wrestler. It will be interesting to see how they work against the wrestler that he has today.
Taylor only has 3 losses this year, and interestingly enough, again, thinking about the counties, all 3 have been out of county. So a big one today as he takes on a young man we've watched grow up for 2 years, a junior now, Mark Lombardi.
Mark was 3rd in the States last year and probably wrestled 5 matches in a row down there, as well as any wrestler that was at Princeton. Very fine technician, good strength himself, fast movements. So we have 2 wrestlers that have some similarities and differences hitting out there at 125 today.
A Columbia team that's not as strong as they may have been in the past. They really were decimated by graduation.
Interesting. It's so hard now to stay up year after year at that same level. We had a wonderful match a year ago. It came down to the last 2 weight classes. Columbia was the victor. You would think that this year it would be a close match again. It may turn out to be that way on paper. It shouldn't. Millburn is the better team on paper. They've had a better year. They've managed to keep that consistency by bringing their young wrestlers back and wrestling well with them. Columbia is rebuilding again.
But Millburn has to be careful. A tough loss for them in their last match against Madison.
Tough one against Madison. It was for the conference championship, and it's going to be important to see how they bounce back today in the match against Columbia. Maybe being on television will give that added incentive to wrestle a little bit harder.
And we should have a nice match for you to start things off at 103 pounds. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with that bout right after this.
TV3 brings you the best of local programming. If you haven't tuned in lately, look at what you've missed. So be sure to watch Suburban Cablevision's TV3.
Nice crowd on hand today at Millburn High School for this afternoon bout. We've got the Millers and the Cougars. Longtime Millburn head coach Bill Myron, outstanding wrestler in his day. And he is going up today, coaching-wise, against another outstanding wrestler from his days at Livingston High School, Matthew Janquito. Matthew, a former Essex County champion. A 20-2 advantage through 130 pounds of wrestling. And at 135, John Nelson comes out for the Cougars, and he will take on John Karp. John Nelson for Columbia, John Karp for Millburn.
Senior for Columbia against a sophomore for Millburn. Nelson tied underneath deep. Karp with good balance though.
Nelson has only been in 7 matches this year. He's had an ankle injury, which has kept him off the mats for a while.
Karp that shoots low, locks on the right leg of Nelson. Nelson over top on Karp's ankle. If they stay there, we have a stalemate. We're up on our feet in a second or two.
Nelson, the senior, 2 wins this season, 5 losses. Scoreless first period.
Nelson circling behind. Karp, though, underneath, pops out in front.
John Karp, 5-10 as a sophomore.
Sometimes tough, as you know, Paul, to be that freshman or sophomore in the middle weights. You're hitting the juniors and seniors, and sometimes that 5-10 record isn't indicative of the talent that you might have. Karp has very fine ability. He's hit some very good wrestlers during the course of the year that have totaled those 10 losses.
And you're happy to see a younger wrestler, a sophomore in this case, stay with it through a 5-10 season, because he's getting what you need, mad experience.
No question about it.
And it would be nice to be 2-1, but it's going to be much better that he has 15 and today his 16th match.
Karp shot very slowly in on that same leg. Only a few seconds left this period.
Scoreless first period. 20-2 again is the team score. They are the Columbia coaching staff. And there, Bill Myron. Concerned on the sidelines as always.
He is a worrier, no question about that. Columbia using a lot of legs today with their wrestlers. The legs are in. Power half being forced in. Karp almost over for a count of 1. Karp does the exact reverse. He pops up. He has the leg in. He gets the reversal with the exact same move that Nelson had. Nelson relaxed for a second. It gave Karp the opportunity to come out for 2. Karp losing that leg a little, gets it in again, comes up on top, has to pop the other one in or he's going to lose the legs.
And Nelson does pop free for the reversal.
Millburn wrestler had to put his other leg in to keep the control. He kept the single grapevine in. Nelson does a nice job of getting those 2 points back. Karp has tried to sit 2 times. Nelson has tried to snap 2 times.
24 seconds left in the second period. We are tied at 2.
You see the single grapevine cross the back by Nelson, and amazing, he'll see Karp come underneath, come up with exactly the same ride that Nelson just had for his 2. Subsequently, he would be reversed to make it 2-2.
Yeah, that move was early in the period, but Nelson popped free later, and that's why we are 2-2 here in the second period. 135-pound wrestling.
Nice switch by Karp. Nicely done for 2.
Quick start for the sophomore, John Karp.
Karp's job now is to ride for 10 seconds, finish this period with the lead. Not to give up any points with just a few seconds to go. But he's done the same again, only through 1 leg. He's going to be able to hold off.
So he learned a little bit from the first error when he didn't get the leg around. John Karp with the 4-2 lead through 2 periods. And also showed a nice presence, clock sense there.
Yes, he did.
He realized I really only need to hold on for about 5 seconds, and the buzzer will help me. 4-2 lead for the Millburn sophomore.
Karp Campbell's out in front, comes back, simply had his neutral, really just went back into Nelson to take the 6-2 lead, and I think that's going to be a tough lead for Nelson to come back from. Coach Myron had told Karp not to force those legs in. Karp put them in. I see Coach Myron, a few more gray hairs on the bench, shaking his head. Why me?
6-2 advantage for Karp.
Nelson up. Karp locks on him. Nelson looking for the headlock. Karp still has a bear hug in. Karp lets the bear hug go. That's one.
Nice move by John Nelson to pop free for the 1 point.
You realize both boys are very pleased. The crowd is yelling, "Go John, go John," and both boys think it's all for them.
Nelson needs to make the move here. 1 minute left in the match.
And either needs 2 takedowns or he needs a takedown to Karp's back. It is Nelson who shoots. It's Karp who does a little drag. No advantage either man yet. Nelson locked tight in a lateral drop position or a hip throw position.
45 seconds to go in the period.
Nelson doing the right thing, going in deep. He knows he needs more than the 2.
A slow motion start for both wrestlers. And a warning to Karp. His first, 6-3 still the score.
Nelson with the 2-on-1 on that arm. Karp with a little duck. The one thing Karp could not allow to happen was a takedown to his back. There's no count on the back. He is very lucky that there was no count. He is only up by 1 and not down by 1 or 2.
So Nelson down 1, 6-5. Here's the move. He's got only 15 seconds left.
Good job by Karp of staying at right angles to that mat, but that was only by an inch or 2.
He's got to make the quick move, 15 seconds. And that's really all John Nelson could do. He had to make the move. Karp took advantage of it, popped out for the 8-5 lead with 3 seconds to go. And that will do it, but a lot of credit for both wrestlers there. They really did what they had to do, and John Nelson knew that he couldn't sit there for 15 seconds, lose by 1, losing by 3 and losing by 1. Not much difference there. Nice win for John Karp.
Good job by both wrestlers, somewhat evenly matched. Karp again exploding, coming forward, reaching back, simply doing a nice hip heist, coming across the body of Nelson with that left arm, getting those 2 points.
Up to 140 with the score.